What is the hardest part of being a mum? I think there's so many hard parts of being a mum that it's really difficult to actually just pinpoint one of them. I would definitely say one of the hardest parts is seeing them unwell, and I know that's quite an obvious one, but sometimes when your kid is really properly unwell and really poorly, it's the one difficult thing that you can't change. And I absolutely hate seeing Ella full of a cold, or when she had chickenpox and she was really under the weather before it. It's so difficult knowing that there's really nothing you can do apart from be there. But yeah, I really don't like to see them unwell. Another thing that's really difficult is getting them into trouble, especially when they've done something really wrong. Like I said before, when Ella's bitten before, she's been sent to her room, put on timeout, and she's been really upset. It doesn't make me feel good giving her into trouble, but it's just one of those things. You have to be the bad guy sometimes for the greater good. So I absolutely hate giving her into trouble, but I know that definitely it is for the best, and it's only to make her a better person in the long run. Something else that I hate about being a mum is the fact that I can't make as much time for just Fraser and I. I would love to be able to do more things, just the two of us, especially having two kids. It's a lot to ask of someone to watch them all the time. I know that sounds mad considering we went on holiday for 4 days, but even then it was just really difficult to find time just for two of us, especially when he's working and obviously I'm doing things like YouTube. It's really hard to find a kind of even balance with everything, but I would like to spend more time with him going forward and have like date nights and stuff. But I suppose Charlie is still very young, was being breastfed up until really recently. I'm still feeding him, but he's been combination fed now, so it's a bit easier, so maybe I should make more time that we can do things together. Do you find any stage particularly stressful or difficult with your babies? So this is really difficult because I think you very easily forget the different stages that your babies go through. So I'm now starting to remember stages that Ella went through when she was like up to 6 months that Charlie's now doing now. And I think one of the stages that I found really, really difficult was in the beginning, and it was with breastfeeding. I forgot just how difficult it was for the first 6 weeks, so I found that stage very difficult. I think naturally the teething stage is really difficult as well. That just kind of goes without saying. At the start of the year, when Ella was about 19 or 20 months, I found it really difficult because she went from a really good eater to such a fussy eater, and apparently that 20-month stage is really when kids start to decide what they do like and what they don't like. So I think if you can get your kid to sleep and you can get them to eat, then you've won a watch, because that's two of the most difficult things. But when she wasn't really eating properly, it really stressed me out because I was just so worried that she wasn't getting enough, and then she wasn't eating proper dinners, but then she was still hungry, so she wanted snacks. And it's so hard to tell her that she's not getting anything because you don't want them going to bed hungry, because you're then worried they're going to wake up during the night. So yeah, I would definitely say the most stressful stage for Ella was when she wasn't eating, and that was probably about 20 months. It lasted for maybe about 4 or 6 weeks. But after then she was back to normal, but that was definitely the most difficult stage with her, was when she was being a really, really fussy eater. Does it always go as smoothly as your morning routine did? To be honest with you, it is quite a smooth process getting out in the morning. The one thing I would say is if I don't do what I do in that video, which is get up and get ready first, it can be so difficult to get myself ready, and someone's lunch needs made, or Charlie needs a bottle, or Ella wants to play something. And yeah, if I don't get up and out the house for 10 o'clock in the morning, then sometimes I don't get out until the afternoon. So if I do the things in my routine video and have things ready the night before and get myself organised before the kids get up, then yeah, it does go as smoothly as that, because it's just a case of getting them fed and put in the car and then we get out. If you could give one mum hack, what would it be? This is really, really difficult. One mum hack. I don't really know if this is a hack, but it's something that I couldn't live without, and that's white noise. I know you can buy lots of different white noise toys, and we've got basically every one you can get. We've got Whisper, we've got You and the Dream Sheep, we've got Zazu the Penguin, and I think the absolute best white noise ever is the hairdryer. Just put your own hairdryer on cool, because it's so loud and it kind of, the noise fills the whole room. It just seems to be so much more effective than all the toys put together. This is a question I get asked all of the time. How do I keep the house so tidy and white with 2 children? I'll be honest, I get help. Fraser is not a sort of sit on his backside kind of guy. He is very active. He never used to be. Before we had kids, I was the clean freak. I used to spend every Saturday, sounds really sad, but I used to spend every Saturday that I had free, if I wasn't going shopping or anything, or before I did those things, I used to spend every morning that Fraser was at football, so maybe from like 9 o'clock till 12 or 1 o'clock, thoroughly cleaning the house. I used to get up and do the bathrooms, the floors, the kitchen, really detailed cleans, and I loved it. I used to just put the music on, stick my joggies on, hair up in a bun, and I just used to really love cleaning the house. It was a really nice outlet after a busy week at work. I just find it such a stress relief getting the place all tidy, and then normally we would have friends in at night for a drink or whatever we were doing, maybe if we were going out, and it just felt so good knowing that the house was properly clean. And now that I've got kids, it's not as easy. I know that my friend on YouTube, Emily Norris, she's also part of Channel Mum, she said that when you have kids you either drop your standards or hire a cleaner. I had kids, I didn't drop my standards, but I hired my husband to be and he is now really good at cleaning the house. So if something that I'm maybe not doing, like the washing or the ironing, Fraser picks that up, and I think that definitely having a modern man, as he calls himself, in the house helping you along makes such a difference. It just means the two of you aren't stressing out, you share the load. Fraser either does like the washing or he does the cooking, and I kind of do the vice versa. Yeah, we're both totally on the same page when it comes to having a clean and tidy house. I think you need that in a relationship because there's nothing worse than one of you creating all the mess and the other one's tidying them up. We used to have the deal that if I did everything inside the house, then Fraser would do everything outside the house, but that's just not really possible now that I've got 2 kids. So yeah, at night time when the kids are in bed, we do a whip round of the house, we get all the washing done, we get the washing hung up, we put things away, we tidy, we hoover in the morning and at night anyway, because we've got one of the Dyson cordless vacuums, so that really makes a difference. We've got all glass furniture, which I know everyone says that's really mad, you've got 2 kids, it must be really messy, but actually I find it easier because I can see all the dirt and I know where's messy, and it means that we can just clean that up. And it also gives the illusion that the place is cleaner because all the shiny stuff is actually shiny. But yeah, I definitely think that we keep the house so clean because the 2 of us are on exactly the same page, and we've got 2 of us in the team making it much tidier. And also things like teaching the kids to be more tidy makes such a difference. So Ella puts things in the bin, like we teach her if she's got a wrapper, she goes and puts it in the bin. We also teach her to try and tidy her things up when she's finished playing with her toys. Not all the time because she can't be expected to do that, she is only 2, but yeah, we do try and tell her to tidy up. I think it's just training them to be a little bit like you and just giving them the sort of standards that we keep in the house. Another question I've been asked is, how did you potty train Ella? I've got a whole video on this which I will link in the description box, but very quickly I'll tell you the first thing I did was just have her with nothing on in the bottom half, and then the next day we put pants on her and stayed in all day. We did that for the day after that as well, going to the toilet maybe every 20 minutes and putting her on a potty, and then after that we just basically took her out for maybe about an hour during the day, out to the shops and back, and took a toilet trip when we were out at the shops, and she was really easy to toilet train. I've got a video on it and I will link it below so you can watch it. A lot of you guys comment on how good Ella is at chatting and ask me how I got her to chat as well as she does. I think just the obvious is talk to your children a lot, and I know there are mums that probably do chat to their kids all the time and their kids just don't speak as much as what Ella does if they're the same age. I don't really know if there's something you can specifically do to get your kids to chat more, but I notice a big difference, and it seems really controversial to say this, but Ella watched a lot of YouTube videos when she was younger, like if we were out and about having a coffee or having dinner, or she was in the pram while we were shopping. She used to watch YouTube videos that were maybe like nursery rhymes or the Giggle Bellies. I'll actually list a few of my favourites below, but I really think that the nursery rhymes made a massive difference. She knows lots of songs now, off by heart, all the words, and she has done for quite a long time now, so I definitely think that more interactive videos like singing and nursery rhymes make such a big difference, as well as chatting to them, asking questions, and also answering the questions that you're asking them. So for example, if I ask Ella, what would you like for dinner? And then I'll also tell her, would you like, and then give her the answer. I think that made a big difference when she was younger, because then she knew what she was expected to say back. So if I would give her something, I would say thank you, so that she then knows to say thank you to me, if that makes sense. And I think that's made a big difference in her development, but it's really difficult to say chat to them more. There are mums that I know who talk to their kids all the time and they're just like silent little people. They will talk when they decide they want to, and like Ella just now, she does not stop talking all day long, so enjoy the silent time while it lasts. Lots of you guys have asked me questions about YouTube, and is YouTube my full-time job? YouTube is not my full-time job. I've only been doing it for about 9 or 10 months, if that. Properly since January, but I created my account in October, And since I had Charlie, I've really been trying to make YouTube more of a job than a hobby, but it is mainly my hobby. Like, I like to use it as a creative outlet and a hobby and something that I have to do. But yeah, it's not my full-time job. I do work in banking. Every time you guys watch a video, like a video, comment on a video, like an Instagram post, comment on it, like my Facebook, any of that stuff, it's all helping me reach my dream and my goal, which is just do this full time. I would absolutely love to be nothing more than just an online content creator and do this as a full-time job and put my absolute all into it. It's something that is a dream, and I don't think it's too out of my reach at the moment, but just know that I totally appreciate all the support and all the love that you guys give me online. If it wasn't for you guys watching my videos and interacting with me, it probably wouldn't be something that I could even consider doing in the future. But hopefully soon, maybe in the next few years, who knows, something miraculous could happen and it could be my full-time job. One of the questions is, what camera and editing software do you use, and would I ever consider making a how to vlog video? I don't know if I'm qualified enough yet to make a how to vlog video, but if it's something you'd like to see, then definitely I would consider doing it. At the moment I am using a Canon G7X Mark II camera, and everyone always asks me how I managed to get my pictures so bright. I basically turn up the brightness in the camera. It's not really that difficult. It's just a little function on the side of it, and you just go to like +1 or +2. I tend to have it on +1.5, and it makes my pictures really bright. In the house I have got quite a white house anyway, so once I turn that up it makes all the background really bright. And I also use VSCO Visco Cam, and I use one of the little filters on there. In fact, I'll show you on my phone the filter that I use to make my pictures a bit more stand out. So it's this here, it's Visco Cam, if you can see it. Visco Cam, and you literally just go and click on a picture. I'll use an example of a picture that I've got here, and I can just go into edit, and it's got lots of little filters you can go through, if you can see this, and it's got lots of these filters that you can go through to change your picture. And then you can use the little slider button here to see how much of the filter you want to use. So yeah, I definitely use this, and what I normally do is go to the F2, which is called Mellow, and it just basically takes my sort of contrast and brightness a little nicer, and it also uses a nice blue tone on my photos, so you can see that's at normal and that's at blue, and we don't want it too blue, so I normally only have it on like 1 or 1.5, and it just gives a nice sort of blue tone to a picture. I really like the effect that that gives. So definitely if you're into photography and you want to use your pictures and make them a little bit nicer, use Visco Cam. It's really good, and it also helps with brightness and sharpness. If you could go to one place in the world, where would it be and why? This is difficult because I think if you're talking about somewhere I would like to go in the future with the kids, it's 100% Disneyland, and it's so attainable. If we just save our money up for the next few years, we could probably go to Disneyland. It's just obviously we've got the wedding and things next year. Everything's just costing a fortune, as you'll know if you've got married. So yeah, we definitely want to go to Disneyland, Florida. I've been once when I was a dancer. I used to do cheerleading, and I've been twice, sorry, as a dancer, and I absolutely loved it. Fraser's never been before, and I definitely think it's an experience like no other. Disneyland is not just for children, you can go as adults. You definitely don't need to be a family, but I would absolutely love to take the kids and Fraser to Disneyland just to experience it. It's such a magical place, and I just feel as if it's somewhere that you need to go and explore. Plus it would make the most amazing vlog. There's so many things to go and explore in Disneyland, so I would love to take the kids there, to go to Florida and do Universal and International Drive and all of those places. It's just somewhere like no other, and I would love to go there in the future. Another question about sleep, and it is, my little 13-month-old still wakes twice, sometimes even 3 times at night. How do you teach them to self-soothe and fall asleep themselves, where you just leave them and go in and check on them? I'm not strong enough to leave them to cry. Any tips would be greatly appreciated, etc, etc. So we did this with Ella. It's called cry control. I know it's quite a kind of controversial topic, but it really worked with us. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely cried as well. I came downstairs after leaving her to cry, and we watched her on the monitor just crying herself to sleep, and it seems really cruel, but it's so worth it in the long run. Whenever I used to hold Ella, she would never be a cuddly baby, she would never snuggle into me, she always resisted being held, so it actually worked better to just put her down in her cot and let her cry for a little bit, then give her a dummy back after 2 minutes and then come back and keep checking her. And normally it would take maybe about 4 or 5 times and she would eventually just fall off to sleep. We did this for 3 nights, and then by the 4th night we left her. She cried once, we gave her a dummy back and she slept through the night. So it's really, really difficult. No one said it was easy, it's so hard. One thing I would say was do it when your partner's in, or when you've got a friend with you, or maybe a mum with you. It definitely makes a difference. You'll need some support for you and your baby, but definitely try doing some cry control if your baby's just not sleeping. It seems really cruel, I know, but sometimes it's these things you need to do to help them in the long run. It's definitely worked for us. Ella now sleeps from 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock and has never been really much of an issue unless she's unwell, and I'm definitely going to try and do it with Charlie now he's in his room. But to be fair, he goes to sleep quite easily, he just wakes up once during the night. And another question that I've got is any more babies, and this other question ties in with it, which is one from my friend Ailey, which is if money was no object, how many kids would you have? So these tied together because I think at the moment we're saying no more kids, just because we've got a boy and we've got a girl, we've kind of got the set, and at the minute there's kind of no need for us to have another baby. Of course at the moment I feel as if it's complete, and I don't know how I feel once Charlie's no longer a baby. Maybe we will think about having another one. The only thing I could say at the moment is that I've got age on my side and the kids are also very close together, so in terms of an age gap, there's not going to be much age gap between Ella and the next baby if we do have another one. Plus at the moment I'm only 25 in a couple of weeks time. The end of this month is my 25th birthday, and some people are just starting their families at 25, so I think that age is definitely on my side, and if I was lucky enough to have another baby then we probably would have one if money was no object. And I think if you're talking money was no object and both of us didn't need to work and we were multi-millionaires, we would definitely have maybe about, I don't know, 4 kids, definitely. The only difference is when you've got 3 babies, I think that most mums with 3 kids will probably say the 3rd baby seems to cost you so much more than the 2nd one ever did. And it's things like going on holiday packages are always for families of 4, and going out for meals, it's always deals for families of 4. You don't tend to see things that are for families of 5, and I definitely think that having a 3rd kid would feel like you've got so much children. Like we went away on holiday there on a break to St Ives with my brother and his little boy and his fiance as well, and I felt like the 3 kids felt like a lot. So I don't know if Charlie maybe wasn't a baby and he was maybe Ella's age and Ella was like 4 or 5, it might not seem as bad. But definitely credit to the mums that have got 3 more kids. It must be an absolute handful. At the moment we're not planning on having any more children, but who knows what the future holds. So I think that is the end of my Q&A. I hope you guys really enjoyed hearing all the answers. I definitely enjoyed answering them. I think I learned a bit about myself actually while I was doing it. Thanks so much for giving me all your questions on Instagram. As always, you can follow me there. I'll leave a link in the description box. And don't forget to check out the competition on the Channel Mum website. I'll leave the links in the description box so you know how to enter. It's a treat yourself competition where you have the chance to win every week in August £50 worth of Lush vouchers, £50 worth of Primark vouchers and £50 worth of Boots vouchers. You don't need to be a mum to enter. I'll leave all the links for you. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!